Today for lunch we decided to make a Cajun pork tenderloin that we're going to stick in the crock pot. If you enjoy these recipes, please take a moment to like and subscribe, share. We would enjoy your feedback. What I've got here is a 1.5 pound pork tenderloin. You can tell there's just a little bit of silverback or the fat on the side. We're going to take that off to make it just a little bit more tender. In our pan off to the side, we've got 2 tablespoons of oil that we're heating up. We don't have to take all this off, just a little bit of it for the extra. It just makes it easier for when we're cutting it. The crock pot will break down most of it. Alright, looks good. We're going to take 2 teaspoons of creole seasoning and we're going to rub that into our pork tenderloin. Try to get a good coating all the way around. We use the Tony Shares. We kind of like that one a lot. And it's really inexpensive. Alright, over here we've got our pan, which is nice and hot. I'm going to lift that up. I'm going to sear all 4 sides. Our tenderloin is beginning to cook, and all we really want is kind of a light sear on the side. Give just a little bit of brownness. What that does is help seals in those juices as it's cooking in the crock pot. You can skip this step if you like, but if you do, most likely your pork tenderloin is going to be a little bit drier. We'll go ahead and finish cooking this off and we'll stick it in the crock pot. Alright, we've finished searing off all 4 sides. We'll go ahead and stick that in our crock pot. Right over there. Now, back to our pan. In our pan, we're going to add 1/4 a cup of butter. We'll melt that. The other reason that you want to actually brown this is because you want to pick up all those flavorings of the pork and of the creole seasoning that's left over in the pan. Alright, while that's melting, we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of dried oregano, 1/2 teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes, and 2 teaspoons of minced garlic, stir that out a little bit. Let's get it to cooking. We're going to pull that off. Pour that over our tenderloin. And we're going to cook this in the crock pot for 2 hours. Alright, it's been about 2.5 to 3 hours. Take that pot off, take that lid off. We're going to take our meat out of our crock pot and sit it on our cutting board. Because we want this to rest for a good 10 to 15 minutes, just so that way the juices and stuff will be nice and distributed throughout the thing. You can also see that we have a lot of these little spices, the garlic and stuff on the outside. Which is really good. We're now going to start making our gravy. Alright, to start our gravy, we're going to take the same pan that we had whenever we sauteed the pork loin. We're going to take this, the juices that we have left over from whenever it was cooking in the crock pot. Now we use these nice little bags here. 1, it keeps our crock pot clean. 2, it's much easier to handle whenever we're moving our liquid around. Just going to take this, stick it back in the exact same pan. Throw that away. To that, we're going to add 1 cup of chicken stock. And we've made a slurry. And that slurry is going to be a combination of 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and 2 tablespoons of water. Get that nice little mix. We want to do this while it's still cold. Make sure you use cold water, otherwise it's not really going to work. Pour that in. We're going to turn our heat onto a medium. We're going to cook this until it makes a nice little gravy. All the little cracklings at the bottom of the pan that you had left over, and all the seasonings you had left over from the Creole seasoning and stuff, will help flavor this gravy. So you actually don't need to add any other spices to it. But we're going to go ahead and do this until it's almost a nice opaque clear color. As you can tell, I've checked this off the heat. The gravy is done. As you can tell, most of it's become mostly clear, opaque. You can see the garlic, the red pepper flakes, all the spices that you had on it before, on the pork tenderloin. Now I'll take a little bit of this gravy. I'm going to pour that on top of our pork tenderloin. Well, it's going to be nice, and pour a little bit over our mashed potatoes that we made just a little bit earlier. And there you have it. A Cajun pork tenderloin topped with a Cajun gravy. We hope you enjoy this recipe.